This video is a continuing series of enhancements to the new People's Choice Accounting version 10. This particular video is going to focus on the new enhancements to the Accounts Payable portion of the People's Choice Premier program. We're going to focus on the integration of the purchase orders to the bills that has been enhanced since the People's Choice Accounting XP program. What you'll have to do for this to work first is in the setup and company information, you would need in the general ledger assignments to make sure all your accounts payable fields have been assigned a particular GL account for the different options. And once that's done, in the purchases, many of you who have been using the People's Choice XP have been using the bills portion of the program, but many people have been wanting to incorporate the purchase orders, and the new enhancements have allow you to create a purchase order, and when the purchase is received and you receive the bill from the vendor or supplier, you can go ahead and complete the purchase order and convert it to a bill. So this is done in terms of the purchase order. Here's a sample where it was actually shipped to a customer what was ordered. So what was ordered was these items on the purchase order. The new fields that have been added to the purchase order is a GL account field where you can assign a GL account for each of the items that's on the purchase order. This was not available on the People's Choice Accounting XP program. But once the items have been received, and you have received the bill from the vendor or supplier, you would pull up this and you would fill in any additional information. So the original purchase order was for $1,000 in this example, but then there was some freight and tax and then some other charge. And so this total here is what should match the vendor's invoice or bill that you receive from them. So once that information is filled out, you can go ahead and create an invoice for the customer that this was shipped to. And once you click on that, that'll bring over the invoice, and then you can go ahead and fill in the items of what you're going to be charging them. But also, once you've selected to convert it to a bill and have this item filled out, you can click AP Bill. You can go ahead and put in the invoice or bill number that the vendor gave you, and we'll just say it was that number, and the bill date was on the, our example was on the 13th, so we'll just change this to the 25th. And received items, and then go to the payables invoice. So once you've done that, then it takes you over to the bill section, and it brings over the distribution of that purchase order into the bill. And the other item that you're able to do is once you're in a bill, if you see that it's attached to a purchase order, you can click on the pencil, and that'll show you that the purchase order that this came from. And you'll notice also at the top of the purchase order, this PO is now locked, and so you can't create or edit this purchase order any further. If for some reason you made a mistake, you can go ahead and delete this bill, and it will remove it from your bills, but you can go back and pull up that particular purchase order, and you'll see that the purchase order has been unlocked and is now open. So if you had made a mistake and this was supposed to have been, let's say, $25, and so the total of the bill is changed it to $1,151, then from there you can go ahead and go back and put in, I don't remember what the number was, what it was, and then that'll bring it back over. So it's a way of enhancing the integration between the purchase orders and the bills, and especially if you're using inventory, but it doesn't have to be inventory. It could be other items that are purchased, and then if you owe for them, and you can convert it to a bill. So implementing the purchase order is pretty much required is if you're going to implement the perpetual inventory. But even without the perpetual inventory, you'll find that this feature is very useful. So the other items that you could focus on is the ability to go ahead and duplicate. You could still duplicate this purchase order if for some reason, even though you've locked it and you want to create a new one, you could duplicate it, edit the amounts, or edit the GL account. But probably the biggest enhancement is the ability to assign the GL account prior to when you create the purchase order itself, and not to assign it when you entering in the bill. Now, if you're, especially in the nonprofit, some people want to encumber their bills or their purchase orders, so that there is the option to update your standing payables to show so if this bill hadn't been paid, if it was still, it's not in bills, and so therefore it's not in accounts payable, and it's not being reflected in your outstanding accounts payable, but you would like to know what you've committed to that you hadn't received bills for, you can do an encumbering of these items. So let's just say we duplicated this bill and created a new purchase order, and we went down here and we haven't received it yet, but we want to encumber it, and we have to actually set it up in the budget first, and then once it's set up in the budget to encumber, then we can go to our accounting reports, and you can do an encumbrances report that will print out the information that you've committed to, but it's not yet in your payables in your general ledger. So that was the focus of this new enhancement that's in the People's Choice Accounting version 10. That is something that was added since the People's Choice Accounting XP.